Silence! It's time! It's time! It's
time for another episode of the Drunk Dash Nerds podcast.
Can you dig it, sucker?
Grab a six-pack, sit back and prepare to laugh. It's Drunk Dash Nerds podcast. Grab a six-pack, sit back and prepare to laugh. It's Drunk Dash Nerds podcast. Grab a six-pack, sit back and prepare to laugh. It's Drunk Dash Nerds podcast. Grab a six-pack, sit back and prepare to laugh. It's Drunk Dash Nerds podcast. Sit back and get back and get back and grab a six-pack, sit back and get back and get back and grab a six-pack, sit back and get back and get back and grab a six-pack, sit back and get back and get back and grab a six-pack, sit back and prepare to laugh. It's Drunk Dash Nerds podcast.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 365 of the Drunk Dash Nerds podcast. I'm as always Tyler, and joining me with the man, the myth, the legend himself, Sir Colonel Gables. What's up, buddy?
Tyler, we've made it long enough to where you can technically listen to an episode of our podcast each day to satisfy an entire year.
Holy shnikes. I didn't even think about that.
Freaking is fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah.
But man, in other news, I'm doing well. I have been given the okay to return back to work, so I'm now working on my second day. I just finished my second day back in prep to reopen the store that I work at. So that's that, but I've also been starting up a new series. I decided to watch a bit of Stranger Things on Netflix because I had a bit of interest in it, and from what I've absorbed so far, it really gives me the same type of feelings that I've had when I first started watching Twin Peaks for the first time, which means a lot of mystery, a lot of intrigue, and a lot of weird paranormal or weird just events in general, just collaborating to the thought of, okay, what's going to happen next? How are these two going to go through and get out of this? Or whatever, it's like that mystery element I've always loved inside TV shows. And so finding a show that I really want to watch is very rare, but I'm nearly done with the first season of Stranger Things. I want to at least invest more time into watching it over the next, I want to say, a couple weeks. I know with my work schedule now, it's going to be pretty hard to play things consistently. However, I feel like I'm going to be delving more into Netflix and seeing what else is there to offer. But other than that, I have been going through a couple different phases in regards to just going out and just checking out different shops that are open. More predominantly the pawn shops. I mean, that's just something I've done ever since I was a teenager, where, my parents take me to some pawn shop, I look around, see if I find anything decent, or find anything else good. And what's interesting is, like yesterday, on Friday, well, actually, yeah. No, not Friday, but Thursday. This past Thursday that we had, like the 28th of May, I went to two different pawn shops, and I ended up finding a bunch of good retro games. I mean, a bunch of fun games that I wouldn't have thought about finding otherwise, but I saw them there, and I'm like, holy shit, Pokemon Puzzle League for the N64? Dude, $15? Okay, that's awesome. That's like $5 more than you would have paid for it, like on the digital version on the Virtual Console back when the Wii was still going on. So I end up buying that. I end up getting these 3 NES games, just for the sake of, I wanted to try something new on the original Nintendo, so I invested in buying the games Gunsmoke. That's a Capcom game. Never played it, but I've seen good things. Pinbot, which, coincidentally enough, is made by Rare. Trade West, they were called back then. And there's another game that's lesser known. I think it's by the company. I think it's Jalico or whatsoever. I forget. However, it's called like Tiger Heli, which is, it kind of reminds me of a top-down shoot-'em-up. It's where you're controlling a helicopter and you're going like up in order to progress and shoot and destroy different enemies and this and that. But I bought those. I ended up picking up a PS4 copy, a physical copy of The Last of Us Remastered. because
Nice.
I know I got it digitally through PlayStation Plus, but I wanted a physical copy for my collection. So I've satisfied that. Trying to see what else that I find. Oh yeah, the last one I found was a DS game. A DS game I haven't played in years, and I regretted selling it because it became hard to find. And it was a pretty good Sonic game, honestly. And I'm talking about Sonic Rush for the DS. It was $10. It didn't have a case or anything. I always hate it when I go to like a secondhand store or if I go to a pawn shop and you have those games that were blatantly obvious that they were supposed to be inside their cases, either for DS, 3DS, Vita, PSP. I absolutely hate it when, and this is like a pet peeve of mine, where you have these small games, right, that could be lost or they could be broken or whatsoever, and they're without the fucking case. You know, it's like I gotta track down a goddamn hard case for this Sonic Rush. But anyway, that's Gable's first world problems right here. But how have you been doing, Tyler?
I'm doing okay. Been a pretty crazy week, in the world. Crazier than it's been. So, Courtney and I today we went down and did went to the protest today downtown. It was peaceful though. Really cool. Good. Yeah. Really big turnout. I mean, I won't lie. We were a little nervous going there because
it's understandable, man. I mean, the whole protests like for George Floyd and stuff, and all the other things that have been going awry with a lot of the protests, say like in Atlanta and in Minnesota and stuff. Yeah, you guys had a right to be concerned and stuff. But
yeah. Well, because it's Saturday night as of recording, and then like Friday night, downtown Des Moines, which is just a mile away from us, just up the street. We can be there in 3-4 minutes. Had a lot of bad like riots and like fire, tear gas, and all that. It was crazy there last night. Like never.
Wow.
You see that shit on TV. You never thought it would hit so close.
Well, that's reality, man.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm not trying to disregard it or anything like that. But so we were a little nervous going into it. But we got there and it was really cool. Like there was like 3 guys that are basically like running a thing with megaphones, and the first thing they said was like they told us like we're walking, the starting point was like we're walking here and we're walking our way back, and they're like the first thing they said was like this is a peaceful protest, no rioting. If you riot, basically you can get the fuck out. And walked all the way down the street and back. Took it's probably a good couple hours, and but it was really cool. It was crazy. Like I thought it was like, oh, this isn't a very good turnout, but then it was like once like we were like towards like probably like in the front third of the group, and then we were meeting some other people, so we like kind of we was in there behind us. We waited for them, and like we saw like, so we were close to the back at this point. Saw the people. I mean, it stretched like it was like a mile long. So of people just walking down the street, and it was like I said, it was a little scary, but it was cool. It was like I looked at Courtney, I'm like, this is incredible, like the turnout for this thing.
Man, I can't imagine just the feeling of just like walking through like a protest and stuff, just supporting basic human rights. Essentially.
Well, it's crazy that we even have to have a protest for that, but yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, that's understandable. I know in Seattle they were having their own protest, peaceful protests and stuff like that. But the mayor of Seattle, get this, Jenny Durkin. I'm not too sure of her first name, but Durkin. She institutes a curfew, right? She posts it around 4:45 p.m. and she made the curfew for 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
15 minutes to get out of the center of Seattle, all the way out and stuff. Oh, there's a problem with that. For those of you who have never been inside Seattle, I mean, that is a freaking big sizable city inside of Washington State. It takes you longer than freaking 15 minutes just to get out of that damn city, especially if you're dead center with everything. And for a lot of those people that were protesting or something like that and be hit with curfew, honestly, that gave the city of Seattle more of an excuse to try to crack down on people for protesting just because they were so scared of what happened in Minnesota and everything else that they didn't want things to translate into Seattle, which, I can understand where they're coming from and stuff, but that was totally stupid.
Mm-hmm.
It was absolutely totally stupid, in my honest opinion. And, yeah, that happened along with today. I know LA's had their own protests, and even in San Francisco and, like, other places where it's all over the country. All over the country has just been outraged. Not just outraged, but just angry.
Yeah.
People have had enough of the injustice that has been going on with black people in regards to just innocent black people being killed, not just for like George Floyd stuff, just for decades, for years, for literal years and stuff, and then coming up to a point where we witness like a black man going through and just getting killed live on a video, like the police officers and stuff like that. It's just nuts. It's just absolutely nuts, and it just makes me fucking disgusted with things that how they've have been progressed like this for years. I know between you and I and like a bunch of our friends and stuff like that, we understood that this has been going on for quite a long while, and that like it's not going to be changed like overnight in some retrospect, but at the same time, it's like human beings are quintessentially just being singled out, just basically just because of the color of their skin, and just because of like, by other people who feel like they're more privileged or more superior than others, and it's just wrong. It's just quintessentially just terrible.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, no, so sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but yeah, it's seeing that video. I mean, we've heard a lot, we've seen some videos, but that probably was like the worst one so far.
I'll be perfectly honest with you, Tyler. I knew the gist and stuff. I saw some of the video. I did not want to see the full video about it because it's like I was literally just getting angry watching some bits of the footage and stuff. And quite honestly, I do not want to see somebody just full on just get killed inside of like a video. I know it happened. I know that though, but it's just like after a few minutes, it's like I had enough. I mean, I was fucking pissed.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, it's it's terrible. It's disgusting. Yeah. So I mean, it was pretty crazy. With like Courtney and like her sister and stuff like that, they got like pretty outraged about it. And I was like, cool. I'm like, I mean, not cool that this happened, but I'm happy like to see this. And it was great to go down there and be supportive of that. It was great to see, like, honestly, like I would say it was like 60-40, like 60% like black people and 40% like everybody else, like white people, they're
unity.
Yeah, so it was great. Like when we first went down there, we were thinking it was going to be. I had my mindset. I'm like, oh, it's I'm like what's the turnout going to be? And I figured it'd be more like closer to 80-20, but I got there. I'm like, wow, this is like when I first pulled up. I'm like, there's like mostly white people here, and then like when I got when we started getting in the middle of it, I'm like it balanced out overall. But I was like, yeah, that was to me more than the numbers of people that were there. Yeah. It was like the average of like black and white there together, and then like like we did like this one way we stopped midway back, and we had to all take a knee, and which I'm a big guy, so taking knees, whoo boy, tough thing to do. He says on the megaphone, all right guys, 9 minutes of silence, and I'm like, oh no. I'm like, I'm all for you, but okay. But I don't think we did like the full 9 minutes. We probably did like 4 or 5. But he said a cool thing. Like, this isn't like a black versus white thing. This is a us versus racist thing. And
right.
Yeah. So I mean that was pretty powerful. Like they were saying a lot. Like they had some really good words and like good speeches. And like I think that was like the one where like he had like this long, like probably good 60-70 second rant, and then like he ended it with that, and like everybody stood up and applauded. So yeah, it was incredible. It was cool to see. It's a little scary right now because downtown we have more rioting and tear gas going on again tonight, like right literally as we're recording this. So
yeah, the same thing's going on inside of Seattle as well. I know it's disheartening and stuff where trying to do peaceful protests, and then people just use it as a excuse to go through and just destroy everything, just try to bomb things or whatever, just do just reckless destruction because of like, just because to cause chaos. But
Yeah.
overall, it's kind of like what I shared on Facebook like around a day or so ago, where it's like all of us are human beings. Doesn't matter whether we're black, we're white, or like Asian or Mexican. At the end of the day, we are all just human beings. We are all human beings and stuff. And the most important thing is like, yeah, Black lives matter. They absolutely matter. It's just...
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, well, it's like, I've seen a lot of people, like, it's the same thing we always hear about, like, oh, you should do it peacefully, and then everybody, like, it's a circle. It's like school shootings. It's a sad circle.
Right.
And it's just like, we like a black person gets murdered by a cop, and then nothing really happens or barely anything happens, and then we get protests or riots, and then you get the whole thing about like, ooh, and like, ooh, if you want to be heard or taken more seriously, you should be peaceful about it. And it's just like, and then it's like, well, we did that and then we talk about Colin Kaepernick, and it's just like,
I know,
like you didn't like that either.
And
so.
people wonder why that it's gotten to such an extent to where people are actually going through these violent protests, is because other people were so like disgusted and like adamant about like, the peaceful protests and stuff that Colin Kaepernick and stuff was doing inside the NFL back around 2016. Him and his teammates is taking a knee during the national anthem. That wasn't disrespecting the flag at all. That was just to go through and just showcase awarenesses of stuff, of like the prejudice and stuff against like against people in that regards. But
and it's just like I've been seeing this quote tweeted a lot by John F. K. It says, "Those who make peaceful revolution impossible will make violent revolution inevitable." And
yes, that is exactly what I was going to go through and quote. I was just having a hard time remembering it.
Yeah, no, you're fine. Yeah, no, so I love that. I mean, it's like, I don't like it. No one likes it. It's like, it's like we always talk about protests. It's supposed to make people uncomfortable, peaceful or not. That's the point of a protest, is to change and make people uncomfortable with what is the norm, and to make it, so it's not the norm any longer. So yeah, I don't know. It was really cool. I mean, to see that, like, it's sad the reasoning why it happened, but yeah, it was awesome to see like that turn out, and to see what's going on, and this to see like not just like I said earlier, just not just like the turnout, but like the mix of people there. That was like the thing that like made me happier than anything, was like it wasn't just like 90% black people there, and it's just, it's like this is like a real cause. Like we're like, I think I don't know, maybe I'm looking at it from I'm a white guy, so but to me it's like it's a cool like way for us to show like, like, hey, we support you too. Like, and like you hear that it's a kind of a different. I don't think remember seeing it before, but it's like white silence equals shit. Like people were chanting. It's like white. You saw a lot of signs. White people have the signs. It was like white silence is like equals like completion or something. Like, I can't remember. There was a really good saying for it. I can't remember what it is off the top of my head now, but yeah, it was a cool thing. It was great to see, and like I've seen a lot of people donating to the Minneapolis Freedom Fund and everything like that. I made a small donation earlier. Corey and I made a small donation earlier to that today. So blessing from kind of funny. He's kind of got the ball rolling on that, and he was like saying, if you can match me, please. And like, so a lot of people like we did $30, and I was like, he put $30 in, and then we put $30 in. So it's cool to see like at least there's some good coming out of it. Hopefully some change, and also help with everything going on in Minneapolis too right now.
That's all we can do right now, is just hope for the best and just do the best that we can.
Yeah. But to try to graciously segue out of that as well as we can, this is a video game show where we talk about video games. I don't know how else there's no really good way to
We're
segue
a little bit of
out.
everything, but yeah, we do focus a lot on like the video game aspect of stuff.
It's a personal thing, but also, So I don't know. So it's a weird time we're in Gables right now. Like usually, like, this right now, if this was a normal year, E3 would be next weekend.
Yeah.
And I feel like we've had a lot of news the last probably month or so, I would say, like especially the last few weeks. Like normally we have like a lot more rumors and hearsay and leaks and shit like that. And I think we got more announcements than rumors and leaks.
We've had like a lot more mysterious things come up, honestly, and a lot more stealth announcements that completely caught people off guard. Is what we've been getting this year.
Yeah, that's definitely been the case. So it's just kind of crazy. Like the kind of like I didn't realize it until like a couple days ago. I'm like when really it was really Thursday when like the Sony announced the PS5 thing, which we'll get into more later, but or here in a few minutes. But I was like, oh man, like this is like that was like June 4th. I'm like, I was looking at the calendar. I'm like, that's about when E3 used to be. Like like June 5th would have been EA Play, and then June 6th would have been Bethesda and whomever else. But yeah, it's been
It would have started off with like Sony. No, it would have started off with like Microsoft, like on that Sunday, and then like EA would have followed forth, and then you have obviously Sony on the Tuesday.
Because EA they moved their EA Play to Friday, and then I think Bethesda was Saturday night. Then I think Ubisoft, I think Microsoft was on Mondays or Sundays now. I think they're on Sundays now. And then it was because last year was different. Like Ubisoft was Monday, and then Square Enix was also Monday, and then it was Tuesday was on Sony when they were still around was Monday night, and then on Tuesday would have been Nintendo. So so it's been I don't know, like we've been discussing about like the benefits and stuff like that of E3 being not being around this year and what could be different. Like we have the Ubisoft thing in July, EA Play still June 11th. I don't know what's I don't want to get into like we can discuss this more in a couple weeks after we get past what was supposed to be the E3 weekend. But are you liking this month of May for how it's been this year? So like for what we've gotten as far as for gaming, or do you kind of prefer like the crazy like rumors and leaks and shit like that like we normally get in past years?
I'll be honest. Having absorbed E3 for so long, for decades, it literally feels like. I like this new approach. And that's because we got into the rut over the past few years where nothing was a surprise because of all the crazy rumors, all the initial spoilers and this and that. With this year, because of the whole COVID stuff, on top of like E3 just being flat out canceled and like gaming developers just revealing games when they want to, quintessentially on their own terms, it has led us to having a lot more like heartfelt surprises, a lot of fun things announced. I mean, hell, it wasn't too long ago where we were so excited because of like the stealth announcement of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 remake and like Paper Mario the Origami King and other games, that would have been intensely spoiled weeks leading up to E3 and their respective like press conferences, like by Activision or freaking Nintendo or wherever. But I really do like this style because it feels like I'm getting bits of information spread throughout the summer months of May, June, July, August, as opposed to shoving it inside of 1 week where you cannot keep track of hardly anything. Yeah. You'll always miss something that you basically would have had access if you wouldn't. You'll basically miss any type of little tidbits of information because you have so much sensory overload with, this game got released. This one did this and that one. And, these two companies are now merged now. It's like, it was chaotic to begin with. And us covering E3 ever since 2013, God, there were nights where we would be like going through and podcasting long hours and all of a sudden something else would be announced inside there. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, like we would be like, or like they would like announce something that's really cool and then we talk about it and then like we look on Twitter after the show and it's like, there was this asterisk at the bottom. Like there was like that, the small letters at the bottom like of a commercial that you can't read. like there was like, oh, okay, actually that's not as cool as it sounds. Or like, yeah, like you said, like they announced something, but then there's always like these little details you didn't quite catch, good or bad sometimes, but
Right.
Yeah.
But the fact remains is we literally would have to request taking days off just to watch everything in regards to getting the most accurate information that we could do. That's too much. I'm sorry, but that format was too much.
yeah, I'm
Which is
don't,
why
don't get me
yeah.
wrong. Like on my previous job, like it was like perfect because like that was like the time of the year where it
Yeah.
got really slow because like it was hell for the previous like 7-8 months. So it was like
Yeah.
right at the end of May was when everything slowed down at work. So I was like, finally I could take time off. So like that E3 week was like I just gotta crawl to the finish line was what I looked at was like, so it was like kind of a double thing where like it was exciting because video games is my favorite hobby, and also I took a week off of work. So
Yeah.
I miss that. I'll say that much. It's like having like that like not only a vacation but also like that crazy like what 4 or 5 day stretch.
Right.
Um,
That's pretty much what I've thought about. But what do you
Okay.
think, Tyler?
I'm still very much in the middle. Like I think what we've seen so far this month, because it's I mean as in Central Time it's literally May 31st. You'll be there shortly, Gables. For this month, I think it's been a pretty good month. Surprisingly, I was for like just from the obviously there's a lot of pandemic, all that shit's put everything crazy wise, but just like for like the sense of being a video game fan, wanting news, game announcements, reveals, just being able to play games, all that, like, and as doing a weekly podcast, just needing stuff to talk about. Like, I was like, okay, it's gonna be a really shitty summer because we remember how it was. Like, even up really for recently, like last year, a couple years ago, like after E3, it was like pretty much from like after that to early to mid late like sometime in August, usually mid late August, you'd have nothing to play, or you might have 1 or 2 big games come out to play,
Right.
if you're lucky, and there would be little to no news. So we had like those doldrums of the summer of just like there's no announcements, there's you're scraping the bottom of the barrel for something to talk about, something
yeah.
to play. More importantly, so I'm just looking at this. Like this May's been a really good month despite everything going on. Like so I'm still like got that. Like it's because it's been something that I look forward to every year. We all do. I think people definitely in the industry are gonna miss it more than. Just because like it's like when everybody gets together more than anything than the E3 event itself, but like for us as gamers and just for us doing the show for who we are, like I'm gonna miss that still like that E3. But I think this is, I've leaned the other way, more towards the other way where like I'd be more like in line with this approach of like doing this like, and especially if we can get to a point like in a year or two when the pandemic's over and things are back to normal or as normal as they can be, where they can because a lot of the shit like who knows what we were supposed to have heard by now or we're supposed to have heard next week that we're not going to hear about now because of everything going on, work from home and all that shit. But like if things get back normal, maybe we'll have a lot more shit to hear about. Like who knows like I don't know what May or June or July or August might sound like when like things are running normally. Like we've had a crazy amount of news this month, and that's with just shit being delayed. Everybody's scrambling. So if, like I said, if things were like normal, like I don't know, I think that it could be more exciting. Like it definitely, it's going to lead to more. We're not going to get that crazy, 3, 4, 5 day stretch of like awesome news potentially. And like you said too, like rumors and leaks have like definitely kind of taken the excitement. Like sometimes it's like it creates excitement and also creates disappointment where like a rumor comes out and like that sounds incredible and then it doesn't happen, or it happens next year, or you expect something to be revealed and it doesn't get revealed. So there's definitely downsides to that, but like I agree. Like I think this is I like this better, especially if we can just have I like the summer game fest where the fuck IGN's got their thing, GameSpot got their thing. Where like you're like they're working together to like, hey, everybody gets their time to like show off shit. Like I think even still like next week what is it? Is it the Global Game or Gorilla? Oh, fuck. There's like this indie game event from like the 5th through the 8th next week. Like I said, EA plays next week. PS5 events next week. I mean, we still got a lot of shit going on. Like IGN has some announcements going on next week.
So it literally kind of feels like E3 next week.
Yeah, but I mean, like, there's definitely a lot going on next week. But I think obviously, but I mean, like, just looking at like June 11th, which is in a couple weeks, is a little later than E3. EA's got their thing. Microsoft's got their thing in July.
Yes.
Possibly something in June as well sometime. Ubisoft's in July. I mean, I think we're going to hear more. Maybe it won't be, it's like I said, we're not going to have a million things dropped on us at once. But I like what you said. Like, it sucks, like, having to maybe wait longer to hear these things or see these things. But, like, we'll have more time to, like, ingest them and, like, feel that excitement for them. Like, like, you can have, like, 10 of the greatest things dropped on you, like, at the first press event. Like, EA comes out and just kills it and gives you everything you wanted, like, in gaming, brought to you, and on their own Friday, and you're just like, okay, that was incredible, that was awesome. All right, what's Saturday got to hold? What's Sunday got to hold? What's this got? So you can't, like, you're always like, what's next? Like, you can't fully enjoy it. So I think, like, this could, like, possibly, if this goes on permanently, like, this keeps going, like, we can actually, like you were saying, like, be able to, like, feel that and be able to fully develop that emotion, that cycle, where we're not like, okay, what's the next thing, and, like, we'll forget, like, that feeling we had, an hour, like 2 hours ago, because, like, say EA kills it and then Ubisoft comes out like an hour later and they just destroy it, and, like, now you're like, well, EA was awesome, but fucking Ubisoft, man, like, they fucking sucked, and now, like, you've lost that feeling. So I don't know. It's like I said, I'm gonna miss E3, but I think this could definitely be. It's kind of funny, like you said, like, basically next week is still kind of like E3, but I mean, it's not all the big guys. It's like it's like the Global Game Initiative or something. I can't remember what it's called, but it's indie stuff. It's small guys, so it's not a full on thing. Let's we're 30 minutes in. Maybe we should get to some of the topics. We're pointing at it earlier, but the PS5 event is next week. I want to read the blog post that we had here from the PlayStation CEO, Jim Ryan. He said that the games coming to PS5 represent the best in the industry from innovative studios that span the globe. Studios both larger and smaller than those newer and those more established. All have been I cannot talk tonight. All have been hard at work developing games that will showcase the potential of the hardware. Oh, no, there's one more too here. So, that doesn't even be talked about. So, they didn't say anything about seeing the console price point or anything like that. But the main thing they talked about was, this is gonna be about seeing the games. So it's supposed to be like an hour long. It's 1:00 Pacific time on June 4th, which I believe is Thursday, I want to say. And that's been the rumor for probably a good 6 weeks now. We were going to see the Xbox, the third-party event, the first week of May, which we got, and then we would see the PS5 event the first week of June, which we're getting. So I'm curious, what are you expecting? What are you wanting out of this event next week?
All right, so there are a couple things that I expect. Not sure they'll come to fruition, but from what I'm looking for, I want to know more context in regards to their backwards compatibility. They've already went on record that they are supporting PS4 games, at least the majority of the PS4 games. They're still going through the test by game basis, apparently. But I expect more news on potential backwards compatibility, potentially with past purchases, maybe for PS2 or PS1 stuff. I mean, that's my hope, Instead of an ideal world, I would love to have a PlayStation system to where I can just, plug in, maybe turn in like my PS1 or my PS2 games and just use that system, the PS5 in order to play these old classics, download a patch and then get a lot of the random trophies or whatever the hell type of thing. Kind of similar to what the Xbox One S does with the 360 games, the original Xbox games, where you just pop in the disc, it downloads an update, it just goes through and installs the thing onto your system. You still need the disc and all that, but it's been adjusted to a current system. So that's one thing I'm expecting, and I hope that Sony does address that. The other thing, The other thing is I'm looking forward to seeing what potential games will be unveiled for this. We know that there are a couple games that we are hoping to see. A sequel to God of War, a sequel to Horizon Zero Dawn, this and that. In terms of like other games, well, who knows really? We could potentially see maybe an old classic series of Sony's come back as a PS5 game. I mean, that's entirely possible. But as far as other stuff, I mean, I fully believe that Sony will be the first to unveil their next generation price. I feel that they, and this is going to be out there though, but I feel like they will go through and reveal the price and the set date of when they want to release the PlayStation 5. That's how I personally feel in regards to it, but those are the three things that I'm really much wishing. I'm wishing for more details on backwards compatibility, more emphasis on what first-party games are going to be on the PS5 come the launch year, and on top of that, the day and the price of the system itself.
Yeah, I'm hoping for that. I think at the very least, if they don't have the box there and the price and the date,
right,
they at least give you like a date of when they're going to talk about that, or at least like a time period or something, like something to like kind of like, all right, guys, like when this is something we were just talking about with like E3, like there's so much brought in too soon. Like they show off maybe like the smart, if say it's $500 and I know it's going to be like a pain point for a lot of people. It's like show the games, let them see those games, let them love those games, and like get excited about those games, and then we'll drop that bad news in a couple weeks or something like that. I don't know. Maybe it's just a PlayStation blog post. Maybe it's another small event.
Right.
But I mean, I don't know. I mean, that could be a possible way to do it. I think that might be, if it's $600, that's definitely the case, what they need to do. But I'm fully expecting going in that these consoles are going to be $500 a piece. And
right. Anything higher, it's going to be incredibly difficult for even a casual consumer to go through and spend on a quote-unquote gaming system that has dual utility.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm looking at 500 as like that's just what their going rate's going to be. Anything less is just a gift. Anything more is just ridiculous. But I'm hoping for that, and that'd be awesome. Maybe at the very least see the box would be cool. I mean, the thing is, they focus a lot on the controller, so I think that's, and they even mentioned that's gonna be a big thing they're gonna focus on, is showing the DualSense and what that's gonna do. I'm not really don't really care too much about that thing, but I mean, I know controller is very important for the console, but I'm gonna be fine with it. Like we all got outraged with the touchpad. Now we're just like it's the thing that's there and it's still there, so obviously it's not that big a deal. But just looking at it, I want to see it. It's the games. It's not just like, it's something I talked about with like the Switch, and with even dating back to the PS4 and the Xbox One in the early days. The first dozen or so shows when we were talking about them was like cool, that launch date is important, but I want that launch window. What you got for me in the first 6 months? Like I know like next, if say there's an E3 next year, like you can focus on what's coming out that following fall and shit like that. But like, what do you got me? What you got for me to play between the launch up till May, June? Like what do you got for me? Like I want to see that. I don't want, like, maybe they have a different event where they can show off more later. But like if they're just focusing on a few games here and there, like I'm so fucking hoping that Horizon Zero Dawn 2 is a thing that's gonna be shown off. Like obviously it was my game of the year 2016, one of my favorite games of the decade. I'm hoping that's there. I don't think. I mean, we're not going to see Assassin's Creed. I guess I was going to say that, but that's an Xbox thing. We've pretty much proven that.
What's going to be interesting is there are 3 games that I think of off the top of my head that we may see or maybe have an announcement for. Like I stated before, God of War, like Horizon Zero Dawn and stuff. I'm fully expecting to see those 2 games, like at least to be confirmed, that are being made for the PS5. I'm also looking forward to seeing if the new if there's actually a new Spider-Man game that's going to be made by Insomniac. Those are the 3 games which I am hoping to see. And those are just the three that I can think of off the top of my head for first party wise.
Yeah, I can get behind that. I could see maybe a teaser trailer for those two, because Spider-Man came out in September of 2018, so not even 2 years yet, and then God of War came out in, I want to say, March or April of 2018. So I could definitely see, like, maybe it'd be smart to do a confirmation and maybe a teaser for those games. But yeah, I don't think we'll see anything more than that.
You know, it'd be kind of interesting is kind of like what you were saying, teaser trailers and stuff. If I was a betting man, I'd say that we were probably going to see teaser trailers for God of War and Spider-Man, and maybe having Horizon Zero Dawn 2 be a launch day game.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they're going to have one or two big games they're going to, first party games that maybe they can focus on for, like, launch day.
Right.
And then maybe they have something that's February. They can, like, kind of push on a little bit. Or maybe they could save, like, just announce that and say, hey, Q1 2021. And then, like, hey, here's all our third-party support. Like, I mean, we're probably going to see more for that. I'm sure they're going to tease a couple things we're going to hear more about later. Something I've been thinking about a lot is Resident Evil 8. That's supposed to become... There's been rumors of that.
That's true.
Resident Evil 8 Village is supposed to come out early 2021. The last... it's not, I guess, not counting Resident Evil 3, but Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 7 were announced at PlayStation events. And not only they were announced, and then we said that they're coming out January of the following year. And the rumor is that it's supposed to come out in January of 2021, but I mean, with everything going on, maybe it'll get pushed back a little bit. But I'm assuming still probably a Q1 game. So maybe that's the thing that's there. Like, hey, they're going to show this is going to be, there it is, boom, Resident Evil 8. That's probably the big, I mean, it'll be cross-platform, obviously, but maybe they'll have something for it they can, to make it some exclusive content or item or something like that, or VR again for it. But I don't know. I'm incredibly excited for this. Like, we've been looking forward to it. It's always exciting to go into it, but it's funny because it's like we look at, like, just, like, you think about, like, it's been so, like, crazy, like, how awesome and blundered these have been. Like, I would say, I mean, probably in the last, look at Wii U, the announcement that was awful. Xbox One, awful. PS4, amazing. Switch, pretty lackluster in the middle, maybe. Like, when that press conference they had in January before the console came out, I think a lot of people were just like, ugh, I don't know about this. And then, like, obviously it worked out for them, but in the PS3, awful. So it's been these events have
infamously awful.
Yeah. So you look at these things, they've been, for the most part, like, maybe it's just anticipation's too much, obviously. But I mean, obviously, like, you look at the Xbox One and PS3 and the Wii U, like, I think those were, like, the ones where, like, you look at, like, they went a little too arrogant, cocky, and thought that we're just going to release this, people will buy it. And that's been that's been concern for a lot of people, is, like, PlayStation seemed a little arrogant the last couple of years. Rightfully so. They have every right to be, proud of themselves, pat themselves on the back. But as a consumer, as someone that, like, I want a PS5 strictly for the first party games, you get scared about sometimes. But yeah, that's the things I'm looking for. And PlayStation's been great, honestly. And that's something I've always praised them about on their E3 press conferences. Is, like, they've done a great job of, like, really showcasing the games that are coming in the next 6 to 8 months. Like, here's our next big games, but also showcasing here's games coming out the following year, and here's the games that you're going to be seeing in a couple of years. Like, they've done they've done a good job of featuring the present, the future, and the far future. Like, they've shown off games that were coming out for 2-3 years. Like, we saw Days Gone at multiple events. We saw God of War, I think, at 2 events. Like, they've done, like, a really great job of, like, of showcasing those games and not putting too much. Like, when you look at, like, you look at some of the stuff, like, sometimes we see too much of a game. I'm gonna kind of contradict myself here in a moment. For stuff where it's like, I don't really want to. I'm so tired of seeing shit like Crackdown 3. I'm so tired of seeing this fucking game. like just release the fucking thing. But they've done a great job of, like, always, like, never showing you too much. But I'm gonna contradict that statement with our next topic. There was a state of play this week with Last of Us 2. Did you watch it, Gables?
Yes, I did.
What did you think of the state of play?
Boy, watching more footage of The Last of Us 2. My God, it was so brutal.
Yes.
It was relentlessly brutal. And my God, it's like just the intricate ways in which Naughty Dog has went into just developing the actual content. It's like a lot of it made me freaking wince, because it's like you have these intense like violent situations and stuff like that, people being stabbed in the neck, like literally fucking like tossing like a Molotov cocktail and stuff like that. You just hear the screams of the fucking dog and stuff like that, and the things like that. You know, it's, oh my gosh, the gameplay in and of itself, the way it looked all right. The gameplay sequence of that one area and stuff, just Jesus Christ, man, it kind of felt like, to me, like a borderline between, okay, like intense and then like stressful type of like thing, and all of a sudden it just kind of meshes well in that kind of regards. So I thought it was all right. You know, it definitely was a bit extreme in some regards, but at the same time, that's pretty much what I thought about it.
Okay. Yeah, like I said, I'm gonna contradict myself on the PlayStation praise of this game, but like I'm definitely at the point where like it was fucking brutal as hell. I loved every minute I watched of it, but I'm just like, just give me the goddamn game at this point. Like I almost didn't like want to watch it, because I'm just like, I know I want this game, but I also knew I wanted this game when they teased it at PSX in like 2016. So it's a weird thing, but I don't know. I think it's also the case where like they showed it off the day before the game was supposed to initially. Well, the second date was supposed to come out on May 29th, when it was supposed to be February 21st. I think the first time. But yeah, no, everything about this. And it was funny. I was watching this, and then Courtney was sitting next to me watching it. She's like, she just stabbed that girl in the fucking neck, and I'm just like, yeah, this game's, it's like that. Yeah, I loved all of this. The music, everything about this, I loved so much. I can't wait for this fucking goddamn game. Yeah, I soaked in every second of it, but I came away from it. I'm just like, I don't want to see any more from this. I don't need to see any more from this. They had a trailer a couple weeks ago, and I was like, I didn't want to watch that, because I'm just like, I don't want to know anymore. It's one of those games I want to go internet silent on, but I also just like, I want it so fucking bad that I can't help but watch anything outside of the spoilers for the game that come out for it.
You're coming from Tyler, you know, just want to make sure you just go through and just play the game initially when it releases. I like that kind of mindset and stuff, where it's like, hey, you've seen enough of what you got to do, wait for the game's release. But I think the funniest part of that whole trailer and stuff is the inclusion of the PlayStation Vita.
Yes, I forgot. Oh my God, that was amazing.
And you know what's hilarious?
God.
After that sequence happened, and you hear like you see the Vita on the floor and stuff like that. The game that was playing, the music.
Yes.
Hotline Miami.
Yes. Yeah. And I liked how Hotline, the people, I can't remember the name of the developers, but they tweeted out, by the way, Hotline Miami is available on the Vita, and Naughty Dog retweeted
it. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That was the best part about that trailer, in my honest opinion.
Just
that inclusion of it.
The worst part of that trailer is the part where she threw the grenade at the dog.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah, that was awful. Yeah, but oh man, I can't wait. Boy, June 19th. June fucking 19th. My parents' anniversary. Didn't you say it was your mother's birthday as well?
Yeah.
Yeah, Mom, you're gonna have to wait. Yeah. Oh boy, I can't wait. Well, we got like 3 more weeks. It's killing me. I know you've been spoiled on it, but I've avoided spoilers, and I get a little more like as things happen. I get a little more scared every time I go on the internet. It's so bad that like I won't even look at, like, I didn't look at comment sections normally, but like I actively go out of my way to avoid like replies on Twitter, or even replying to people on Twitter about anything, like, or like getting into a conversation, because I'm worried that someone's gonna troll me. Like I am complete paranoia on like Reddit. I haven't gone on Reddit in like a month. Like I don't go on there very often. I usually go on there and just like read like news and like
just avoid that.
Yeah, like I like to go on there and like I have the groups I go into, and I like to read the conversations, just get a kind of a read of the room on what people are feeling and see point of views. But I am at the point now I won't even fucking do that. So 3 more weeks, Gables. That's all we got. That's all I gotta do.
Yep.
3 more weeks, and then it's gonna be a good time. It's gonna be a good time. But moving on. So we talked about what a lot of people were talking about as possibly one of the games of the year, possibly game of the generation. But we're gonna talk about the game of the decade, Gables. I'm already calling it. I know it's not even quite yet June. We're 5 months into to this decade. We watched this trailer together for this podcast. I've seen it like 5 times because I just can't believe this is happening. Fast and Furious Crossroads coming out August 7th. Where are you at? Where are you at, doggy dog? Where are you at?
I'll tell you what. Going into this trailer beforehand and stuff, I've seen maybe a little bit of hints or something from Kind of Funny and stuff. However, I didn't really get a chance to watch the actual trailer of it. More or less, kind of the cringe reaction of Tim Getty's face inside the thumbnail kind of explained it all. But I'll tell you what. After watching this Fast and Furious game trailer, it quite possibly may be the worst game reveal trailer I have seen in a hell of a long time. I kid you not. It's like they have the original voice actors and stuff, but it's just the fact that this is a car action game, right? And it's so bland looking in terms of the way you go through game. It seems like the way you go through like game objectives and the way you just traverse and stuff. It feels like, I don't know why. It kind of feels like it's like a game that's sort of like linearly on rail in some retrospects, where you have to go through and hit specific checkpoints, specific like badass moments or something from there. But the worst thing about it is the cringe dialogue reads by the cast. It's quintessentially making this thing almost seem like a joke, to be perfectly honest with you. I literally had to ask Tyler before the show started whether or not this is a giant troll, because there were parts of it that were just so fucking meme-worthy, because it felt like I was being trolled into watching it. It's like, oh, hey, this is a Fast and Furious game, and all of a sudden you have like the worst elements of cringe possible. You knew things were like, you knew that this game had like a big old red flag even when it was unveiled inside of the Game Awards show and stuff by the Fast and the Furious actors and stuff like that, like Vin Diesel and this and that. And then all of a sudden see the gameplay of it through this trailer, it just magnifies the fact where, hey, yeah, we're still making this game, it's still coming out, and you look at it and it's quite honestly one of the freaking cringiest type of shit that I've seen imaginable. And it's like, I'll tell you what, it literally feels like they recorded it inside of a booth, like in one take, in some regards.
Yes. Yeah.
And what's the most telling thing about it is, this thing was so lazily put together that it basically showcases all these portions of the game, which just seems like not even all that interesting at all, in my personal opinion. Let's see. I am just personally just shocked how this gameplay trailer not only makes the game look bad, but it makes it look epically bad. It just did the exact opposite of what the game is supposed to do, that trailer's supposed to do. You put out a gameplay trailer for an up-and-coming project and stuff that you've been working like hard on for about maybe a couple of years, maybe 5 years or something, and then you have a reveal trailer like that. It's like, it kind of feels as though if you were working on the game as a designer, that you don't want anything to fucking do with it after it's done.
Yeah, so the game of the decade, as we're referring to it now, this game looks terrible, Gables. I can't lie. It's gonna be bad. It's not gonna be good. It's gonna review terribly. I guess there's been some stuff come out, like basically this game was like had to be made in like 9 months. Like they it was
like it.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely. Like you like we always thought like those movie tie-in games for the most part, outside like those like the Lego games, and you get a couple here and there. Like the most of them have been like our mobile games at this point, but those movie tie-in games kind of went away towards the end of the last generation. And like this is, I mean, I know it's not a direct movie tie-in, but it's a tie-in to a movie franchise.
It's the rush job of a movie tie-in game.
Yeah,
That's what it feels like.
Yeah, I saw this. I'm like, I immediately thought of those Transformer games that came out in like the mid to late 2000s. I guess this game was like made in like 9 months, and they finished it back in March. So now it was supposed to come out in May. And I won't lie, I have actively at least twice a week went on and like Googled or went on Twitter somewhere and like researched. I'm like, okay, they made an announcement about this game I don't know of. Like there was no official delay. There was no. They said they said May. That's all they said, and that was at the video game awards. And they even think, actually, this was the final thing at the Game Awards last year. Like, which I forgot about. Like that's the thing. Like I am a Fast and Furious fan.
They closed up the Game Awards with this game.
Yeah. Well, and the only reason that happened was because like the one more thing was supposed to be the Half-Life Alex thing, but it got pulled literally like the day of the show. But it looks awful. It's gonna be terrible. My favorite part is, and I actively laugh out loud every time I see it, is when like they're chasing like what looks like to be like a giant spaceship with like going down an airstrip, and then they rip apart. They shoot like a fucking hook at it and with their car and pull this like giant piece of the car, the spaceship, whatever the fuck it is, airplane or whatever, off of it, and it looks like something you would see from 2008. Literally makes me laugh out loud every time I see it.
Wheelman Part 2.
Yeah, I posted in Pitter Pot 2, now in cars. But I posted this in Talk Ship. Someone's like, this looks like a game that came out like a generation ago. I'm like, this looks like a AA game that came out in 2010. That's what this looks like. Like this, it's gonna be terrible. It's gonna be awful. That being said, I paid for it back in December, so I'm gonna play it. So that's. I can't wait, Gables. I can't wait.
Yeah.
I can't wait for how terrible this game's gonna be. That's my honest feeling. I know this. I know it's gonna be bad, and I like hate myself for like wanting like for the fact that like I actually got some excitement for it. I think a lot of it is I probably wouldn't have actually ended up. I paid for it. And I can cancel it anytime. But I think that I wouldn't if the movie had come out in May like it was supposed to. I probably would have canceled it because that would give me my Fast and Furious fix. But and would have just picked it up when it's like $20 in 2 weeks.
Right.
But yeah, I need Gables. I need some Dom in my life. And that's another thing. God damn, that voice acting is terrible. Wow, that is awful. Like it sounds like they were over FaceTime. It's like, hey, we need you. We gotta finish the voice work for this game. So here, read these lines. And like, Dom, remember that time in Rio? Oh yeah. So you want me to use like a battering ram? Yeah, do that. Like it's crazy to think we're nowadays like Spider-Man, the Marvel Spider-Man game that came out in 2018. Like people like talk about that like being like this incredible work of art where like they literally did like multiple takes of the same line where like the guy that played the voice of Spider-Man, I can't remember his name, he had to like do like he had to say the same thing over and over again like 7-8 different times based off of like how much energy he had like used like if he'd been web swinging for so long, he says it in this way because he's a little more fatigued, a little more tired. If he just started, he says it this way. It's like we've gone so far in like in voice acting and everything like that where it's like you look at like we just talked about Last of Us. That game was like gonna be a work of art, and I'll get into what I've been playing this week a little bit more. But like I'm watching, I've been playing an older game, but I'm watching that game. I'm just like, wow. This like the game hasn't like the graphically isn't the best, but like the voice acting is still like top notch. Like the acting is top notch, and it's just like you see this like you have. I'm not gonna say top notch actors, but you have actual like actors with like a lot of name value, And it's just like, this feels like we're like, hey, you signed on to do this movie, but in your contract you also have to like do the voice acting for this movie. So it's like you just it takes 20 minutes. So smoke a bowl, go in there and do this voice acting. That's basically what it sounds like. So yeah, this sucks. Gables. Like I won't like. I mean, it sounds cool. Like it's like when you you think of your favorite TV show or movie. It's like, that'd be great if they made a video game out of it, and then they do it, and then this is what you get, and this is like your worst case scenario. So yeah, but I'm glad I got to experience that with you. That's all I'm gonna say. Moving on to something I think you will enjoy though. Pyramid Head is coming to Dead by Daylight on June 16th. This also comes with the main protagonist from Silent Hill 3, Cheryl Mason, I believe her name is, and also has the level from Silent Hill 1. It's the elementary school from that game. I know you are obviously someone that's been playing this game off and on for years now. What's your excitement level with this?
All right, so my excitement level with this is pretty high, honestly, because, for one, I like the idea that this was announced as a part of the 4th anniversary for Dead by Daylight. So this was the new character, the new killer that they unveiled. First off, it's exciting because, for one, Silent Hill has remained dormant now for quite a long while, ever since the whole fiasco with PT, with Kojima and stuff. It's just fascinating to me that you get to play with a character like Pyramid Head. I have seen some bit of gameplay through the public beta testing by other people, and he looks pretty damn sick. I mean, I'm excited to play as him because he looks pretty damn fun. He has this attack to where if he can actually swing his sword right, and then all of a sudden it's it gets a trail of energy or something, and you can actually go and get people across, not just get people across, but you can actually cut through certain objects in the way, bypass them, and just down survivors and stuff, and do it that way. I didn't really see too much of the perks and everything, but the main thing that I was excited about, not just this character reveal, but just the confirmation of say crossplay. The introduction of crossplay will be coming to Dead by Daylight by the end of the year. They're going to be rolling it out in 2 waves, one being between PC users, so Steam and Windows. People are going to be playing together, and then later on it's going to be another wave, the other wave and stuff with the console players. So what they're trying to do with that is they're trying to create some sort of a universal sort of thing to where if you have the login credentials or whatsoever of one thing, you can actually go through and link that with what you're playing it on, and then can essentially have the cross progression sort of thing. Currently, right now, they're working on it. Behavioral, the studios, I believe, is still working on it. But other than that, though, the studio also went on to say that they are trying to improve bits of matchmaking, which, if they are able to perfect a lot of the crossplay stuff, it will solve a lot of the issues that people have been having with queue times, obviously, in terms of waiting for matches. I know personally, when I was still playing on the PS4, I was trying to play the game during the night, then having wait times anywhere between 7 to 10 minutes just to get into a lobby, and then go through even longer sometimes just to get into the match itself. But yeah, there were a couple of fun things that came out of that stream. But yeah, just the whole thing with Pyramid Head and stuff is just awesome. I love it.
Yeah, it's great to see that this game's still doing really well. It's being supported, and the idea of crossplay. That's cool to see. I've always been a proponent of it's nice to have that, but I've always been it keeps, especially these kind of these middle tier games, obviously a Call of Duty and Division, big games like that. They're always gonna have their audiences, whether they're crossplay or not. They're always gonna have a good audience of people to play with. But these type of games, I think all are the ones that need it the most. But the big thing that I'd love to see eventually is cross chat. But I mean, maybe that's too much to ask for. But I'm definitely seeing that in Predator, where I like to have that. But I mean, like Predator, like it's a PS4 exclusive right now. I don't know if it's eventually gonna come to Xbox or not, but it's on PS4 and Steam. But like just like getting in like a match right now is like it takes about a minute and a half to get a match together. But also, but if you want to play as a Predator, it's like the average wait time is like 7-8 minutes. So it's like
because everyone's playing the Predator.
yeah, exactly. I mean, especially in a game with only 5 people in it, only one person in every match can be Predator. So it makes it even harder to get in. So having that is, I think, more important than ever. But that's cool to see. Like definitely supporting that. I love, like, I enjoy these type of games. Like obviously I'm playing, I still play Predator. I usually play a good, dozen games or so every week. So seeing like this stuff get supported and all that is awesome to see. But moving on to our next topic here, Gables, Marvel's Avengers, the Square Enix game. We're getting a showcase for it on June 24th. They're calling it the War Table Stream. They're going to show off a teaser with it's a new trailer, new trailers, co-op gameplay, and the story mission. Is a big thing that we're going to see from this. This was a big thing that was shown off from Square Enix last year, outside of Final Fantasy VII. Is this? I mean, it was supposed to come out May 15th. Been delayed. It got delayed to September 4th. I mean, I know you're not. I love the Marvel movies. I know you're not a Marvel movie fan. But from what we've seen of that game, and we'll know of the game, where's your excitement level for this?
To be perfectly honest, it's kind of moderate. I need to see more of it in order to get like a good opinion of it. So I'm just going upon when it was first revealed, and it did not look as hot as I was expecting it to be. Yeah. But I'm just taking a wait and see approach with it.
Yeah, and that's interesting because I think it's kind of crazy to think that like this time last year, I think Avengers was like the game everybody was most hyped to see going into E3. Like, what is this game gonna look like? What's this game gonna be? And it's like now this game is like. It's coming. It's like Marvel is probably maybe the hottest IP in entertainment right now. Like as far as like if it drops a movie or a trailer or something like that, it's gonna be huge. Everybody's gonna be talking about it. And this game, this game's coming out in a few months still, allegedly, and there's not that build up or excitement. Maybe when we get closer, maybe like July or August, we'll get more there if it doesn't get delayed again. But yeah, my interest in this game, as someone that loves the Marvel movies, I've watched in game probably 5-6 times. I've watched a lot of their movies multiple times. I love the characters. I love this game or this story and everything like that. I have my level for interest level in this game is extremely low. Especially when you come to find out, it's basically just like another Division style game. It's another Destiny style game. It's like I get that that's where we're going with games nowadays, but it's like that's not what I wanted in this. I wanted something more of like what's the Marvel Ultimate Alliance. I wanted something more like that. Like, fine, you can make it behind the back third person shooter style game or action adventure game, but like I was hoping it wouldn't be an online only style game. Maybe if that's not the case, that would change my opinion. But I heard the big thing, the big reason the game got delayed from May to September back in January was during the game testing for this. A lot of the people like testing and working on the game were like, this game, it's technically fine, but it's not fun to play. So, which is a major issue. Like, that's like the biggest issue with like every one of these like style of games where it's like that. I mean, not only in the content in it as well, but like you look at like Destiny. Destiny is everything about the game, runs well, works well. The gameplay is, what you expect from Bungie. It's top notch, but it's like this game isn't very fun after a little while, or like there's not much to do after a little while. So to hear that, it's just like, ugh, okay. So I don't know. My interest is definitely, like I said, it's pretty low, but I'm open to like what could happen, and hopefully it comes like this. The gameplay comes out and looks great, and the story mission. Like, I'm not like totally turning my brain off this game. I'm definitely gonna watch this event on June 24th, but. Yeah, like you said, wait and see approach, but it's got a very steep uphill climb for me, and I feel like for a lot of people. So we'll just have to wait and see. And I think we have one more topic. I'm sorry. We could probably make this a fast one. But Anthem is possibly making a comeback in a sense of they talked about, I believe, at the end of last year or the beginning of this year, where they're putting a real emphasis on bringing back Anthem and kind of reworking it. Apparently, right now they have like an incubation team, as they're calling it, of 30 people to start. It's going to be a long process of turning this game around, reworking it, and moving it around and making this game work. Kind of like what we've seen a lot with the original Destiny or like Final Fantasy 14, like pretty much like Division, something you see from a lot of big games that come out. But I don't know, like, can you see? Do you have hope that BioWare can turn not only this game around but their image around with Anthem?
It's going to be incredibly difficult either way. They're pretty much going against the tide in this case and scenario, to where the game released, they had a lot of hiccups, had a lot of things go wrong with Anthem.
Yeah.
To the extent where a lot of people have lost interest. And quintessentially, the most telling of a game when it first releases, that's the initial install base. That first release period right there, that's where you're going to have the most people. And because of how largely this game has bombed and stuff, anything is possible. However, I feel like in terms of things, I think this stuff with Anthem, with their development team, 30 people that are going through trying to rethink and re-strategize and reshuffle the entirety of what Anthem is. Yeah, I think it's too little too late, to be perfectly honest with you. I don't feel that this is going to be the kind of thing where we're going to be checking about maybe like a year or two from now and saying, oh, hey, Anthem's still around, this and that, It kind of feels like the opposite, to where I feel like, personally, Fallout 76 has a better chance of, regaining, just going through and becoming a better experience in that regards than, say, an Anthem is, personally.
Yeah. I think you look at like those games that really turn around, like Division, Destiny, Final Fantasy 14, like we were saying. Those games, like at their core, the gameplay was there. It just didn't have like the story, the content that we were wanting. Like you look at Destiny 1, like the story was terrible. And like you definitely felt like the way everything you were doing was like really felt like the same. Like it's something I've talked about every time we talk about that game. Like when me and Jake played through that game together, like the first time I played the game, was like, I remember we beat the game and I had no idea that was the final boss. And I beat the game like we beat the game. That was it. That was the final boss. I'm like, I had no fucking idea. And
we're like, yep.
Yeah, it's like, it's something like the big, like a lot of praise I gave Destiny 2 was like, man, they built, it's like the most basic thing in storytelling for everything for 100 years. It's like, here's a bad guy. Here's like the build up to beat the bad guy. And you beat the bad guy. And I'm like, oh, this is great. I really enjoyed this game. It made a huge difference. And like,
yeah, it did.
And they definitely did a good job with it. But you look at like with Destiny 1, it's like taking King and all that. Like that was a huge difference. Like they saw the issues and it's like, we're just going to build it on Nathan Fillion, which is always a great idea. Just build it on Nathan Fillion. He'll make anything he does great. But, you look at that, but the main thing that, like I said, worked for that was like the core of the most important aspect of the game, the gameplay. I could play a mediocre game with great gameplay, and like I played great games with great gameplay with a bad story, a mediocre story, and I just kind of fell off of them. Like I can work my way through like a lot of Naughty Dog games. Like the gameplay is not like it's fun. They do a good job. Like they work really well for what it is, but it's not Call of Duty gameplay. It's not like the top notch like gameplay, but the story is what entices you, keep you going. And you look at like Anthem. It's like I played it. I purposely saved that game until E3. I'm like, all right, I have a chance to sit down. I'm gonna give this a real shot. And I played like 3 hours of like, this game is just not fun. Like it's cool being Iron Man, like that first few times flying through the waterfall and all that. I'm like that's really cool and it's kind of fun. But it's like after it wears off and you start playing the gameplay part of it, it's like this is not great. And that's like we talk about, like, you know, I talk about like you look at Mass Effect. But the thing that everybody loves about Mass Effect is it's like that story, like those characters they built, that world they built, and it's like not so much. Like you look at Mass Effect 1, that's the gameplay, not that great. Mass Effect 2, a lot better. They basically just ripped off Gears of War, but it was a lot better and it was a lot more fun to play.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I think that's honestly like maybe for like not a lot. Maybe a lot of people can get past that, but I just, for me personally, playing through it like Anthem, I wonder if that's the case for a lot of people where it's like that just fell off of it, where it's like it's just not fun to play. And you know, you look at like if anybody should have been able to do this, it should have been BioWare to like make this, you know, those live games like this. They should have been the ones to like make this work, and I just couldn't. And I just feel like unless you're like rapidly changing the way this game plays, which isn't going to happen, I don't know what you can do to fix this game. And it's scary and it's sad to think that, like, you know, what at the beginning, the end of this last generation, like they were like the kings of like whenever they came out, it's like they were the big dick swinging. And you look at this generation, it's just like they have dropped off that drastically. You look, I mean, like the end of the last generation, you had Mass Effect 2, Mass Effect 3, which was still a great game, but the ending was terrible. But then you looked at like Dragon Age Inquisition, kind of all over the map. I think overall it's like it's an okay game, I guess. You look at Mass Effect Andromeda, very bad game. And then you look at, you know, Anthem. It's like they have really dropped the ball this generation. It's like it makes you very scared. Like if they come out with Anthem next, or whatever the fuck it's going to be called, and it doesn't do anything, like it makes you scared. Like, and then Dragon Age 4 is supposed to be coming. We might be hearing more about that in the next couple of weeks. They've already revealed they're working on that game. Like, I don't know. It's very scary for the future of that company. But I don't know. I mean, like you said, like I don't know. It's very sad, Gables, because we both love BioWare, and we would love to see them work it out. But who knows? But finally, we're into what we've been playing portion of the podcast. Mine's gonna be really fast. I played more Predator. Still, like I was saying earlier, still really enjoy that game. The cool thing is, for like $7, they added Arnold Schwarzenegger. He came back as he's Dutch from the original Predator. He's the character, but he's like 2025. Like, so it's been 30 years. He's been like still out killing predators, and they actually got like him doing some like voice acting. So I don't know. It's whatever, but it's like you were talking about, like adding in, like it's not as cool as adding in like a new enemy in the game, but it's like it's pretty cool to see him in there. It's fun to play as him. I think he has some like different abilities. Like he has like what was it? Like he can shoot. He has better hip accuracy, and I think he has like better like, or it's like you can actually like put mud on yourself, like you could like in the movie, and it's like when you put mud on it, I guess it lasts longer with him. So that's cool. And you know, it's fun to see. I hope that'd be awesome if they got Danny Glover to bring him back. I just like, I'm too old for this shit. I just wanted to hear him say that part. The reprise his role, but the other game I'm playing, I got, you know, after seeing the state of play. Oh no, it was on Wednesday. I said earlier it was on Thursday for Last of Us 2. I went back and I started playing Last of Us after that. So I played the first 4 hours. And it's crazy to think that, like, I remember the first time, I didn't even have an HD TV at this point, but the first time I put Last of Us in, which is crazy to think that was, I think, our second episode ever. We talked about Last of Us. Here we are, episode 365. Yep. And we're talking about Last of Us Part 2. And here soon we'll be actually playing the game. But it was crazy the first time I turned it on, and then like it was at the loading screen, and it has like the little dust particles come on the loading screen. And I'm like, oh my god, that looks amazing! Like, it blew my mind, like how like incredible this game looked. And now I'm just sitting there playing it. I'm at the same, the dust particles are up and stuff like that, those spores or whatever it is. I'm just like, huh, okay, that's cool. It's like I'm sitting there playing it, and I'm just like, this game doesn't look great. But it's crazy to think. I mean, I know obviously, you know, we have a whole new console, and we're at the end of the console generation, but it's just like crazy to think like this game, like this was cutting edge. This was like the best game we'd ever seen at this point. And it's just funny. And it's also been remastered for this current generation. I know the remaster came out in 2014, but it's just like, yeah. But it's like I said earlier, like I was, like the cutscenes, the gameplay, the gameplay is so good, but the cutscenes and the acting, the voice acting, all that are still cutting edge. So yeah, playing more of that. I don't know if I'm gonna beat it, but I just had that Jones to play some Last of Us, and I was just sitting there trying to play some other games. I'm just like, man, I don't even want to like jump into anything really too big until Last of Us Part 2 comes out, and I have a decent backlog of games, but all I can think about is fucking Last of Us. But yeah, it's fun. I'm like I said, 3 or 4 hours into the replaying it this is my third playthrough, and still fun as hell as ever. And also it's kind of a refresher of the game, because I haven't beat it since 2014. So yeah, that's all I've been playing. Last of Us and Predator Hunting Grounds. What about you, Gables?
I'm continuing my adventure with Persona 5 Royale. I am now 80 hours in.
Woo!
I have...
1/3 through the game.
Oh my god. I have completed, 4 or 5 palaces. And I have done a lot of various things in regards to social, like the whole social interaction, like building and stuff with your confidants. I've maxed at least a couple of them now. And I'll tell you what, it's very beneficial. You can go through and like max out a lot of these things early. I have one confidant that I've maxed out status, and I actually changed her persona in that regards to where it actually evolved, and it's now a lot stronger than what it was. So I totally forgot that's actually a thing that happened inside previous games, to where if you max a confidant's like the highest level, like friendship and stuff, you can quintessentially have their persona evolve, get a lot stronger, learn more powerful moves. And yeah, it took me 80 hours to do that. But no, what I would like to say though about this game, it still remains constant. It has a fascinating story in my opinion. It definitely has a lot of great gameplay elements. I'm still learning and finding a whole bunch of different things to do. It's starting to close in a little bit now to where I feel like I'm getting towards that point of the game where it's getting closer and closer towards near the end of it, I want to say. Now I say that, and then all of a sudden another 20 hours later, that's going to be different. But what I did end up finding out, because I was literally curious about this, is whether the game had a New Game Plus. And so I checked, and yeah, there actually is a New Game Plus similar to that of how I played through Fire Emblem Three Houses last year. So, quintessentially, the New Game Plus for this game is you keep the same personas inside of your compendium. So, quintessentially, you could start out with your same weapons, all of your money, and all the persona that you've pretty much used for a previous playthrough. You keep the same game, you keep the same save file, right? And it just keeps on adding hours to the game. So essentially, if you finish it around 103 hours or something, you can add more to that total. So quintessentially, you could have it to be where you maybe have a 300-hour gameplay or something. But one thing that I kind of noticed and stuff is with the social interacting thing, for when you do New Game Plus, it doesn't keep the things unlocked and stuff. So I would probably have to go through the entirety to try to maximize all the social link stuff. But for the actual character skill things in regards to the 5 points, say for kindness, guts, let's see, don't want to say dexterity, but proficiency, and all the other stuff in regards to that, it keeps the points for there, which I'm very happy about, because that means if I do eventually go through another playthrough of Persona 5 Royal, that I will keep those points and I wouldn't waste some of my off time inside the game in regards to different types of mini games or different types of other things just to build up those things. For example, if I maximize my knowledge and stuff, am probably just going to go through and just be able to unlock things quicker and much more efficiently. It's the number one thing I like about games that provide you with the New Game Plus, because you quintessentially can go through, have some of the best weapons, have some of the best things immediately from the get-go, which in my honest opinion makes it more enjoyable. And other than that, though, you can also adjust like difficulties too while doing that. Like, say if you play the game on easy or normal, you can switch it on to hard with all your weapons and everything else, and it feels like more of an easier transitional thing. But yeah, I'm really enjoying Persona 5 Royal still. It's kept my attention. It's kept me wanting to learn more and how I'm going to go through and do more stuff. But I am just delighted that I can do a New Game Plus, that I don't have to start through and build from square one again. But yeah, that's all I've been playing.
Well, very cool, man. Glad you're still sticking with that game. Like I said, like I always say, that game sounds incredible. Just, nah, man, that's too much. It would literally take me like 6 months to beat that game. So, yeah. Thank you guys so much for listening. If you want to hear more from us, we have a Facebook group. We have a Facebook page. We're on Twitter, on Twitch, on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, all those places. Just check out look for Drunk Dash Nerds, Drunk Dash Nerds Podcast, Drunk Nerds. You'll find us on there. If you do that, subscribe, follow, like, thumbs up, comment, whatever you can to help us to be seen by more people, to help us out. We'd really appreciate if you did that. Also, twitch.tv/Colonel Gables. Check them out on there. Yeah, thank you guys so much for listening. I was your host. I was Tyler.
And I've been Colonel Gables. So until next time, everyone, stay safe, remain happy. Most importantly of all, thank you for listening to another fun-filled episode of the Drunk Dash Nerds podcast.
Hey, Gables.
Yeah.
Too sweet.
Too sweet, though.
Bye, guys.
See ya.
Excuse me. You too many beers there. Anyways, we're on iTunes now, so go on there, check us out, and if you like us, leave us a review, and we'll even shout you out. And Jack will send you his credit card number.